Welcome to the 4DH Patient Index demonstration. If you have not yet watched the 4DH Patient Index training slides, please go back and do that now. When you're entering the patient index, you will have a username and a password, and you will need to enter that. And click the login button. If you do not enter the right one, you will receive an access denied error. When you enter the patient index, the first thing you will see are the search options that we have here. For patients, you can search in a variety of ways, anything from name, gender, date of birth, all the way down through state, city, street, and so on. A bit about navigation on this page. At any time, if you are throughout the tool and you are not sure how to return to where you need to go, you can come up to the top here and click the HSPI, that's Health Share Patient Index Management bar, and it will take you to an option, and you'll want to come in to Patient Search. That's where we will start here today. You also have other options here, the Worklist, which we will take a look at. You have a whole record and a few other things down here below, but we will start at the patient index. So just to show you how patient index works and to give a brief introduction and overview, I'm going to enter a couple of letters here. You have to enter at least 4 in one field. The more information that you enter within the fields, the more accurate your search results will be. So I've just simply clicked the enter, and it took me to my search results, which give me a variety of different patients. Over here, what I want to show is how you can just view some of these patients simply by clicking the different ways to view. I will click down, and here you see that Benny Sampleson, he has one record from Chinley. That creates his single best record, which is up top here. Your MPI number is your unique identifier, the patient's unique identifier throughout the tool. So we can do this for patients below. One thing I do want to note in this training, which I should have said up front, these are demo patients. There is no PHI or PII within this. You can see we do have some demo records here. So basically what we're looking at, Bernie Sampleson has been matched and has multiple records with different names throughout. One is for a system, or we call it a facility or a demo facility. We have one from Shiprock, one from Winslow. This just shows you how we're creating a single best record from multiple patient records that all fall under Bernie Sampleson. They match on some information. They don't match on some other information, and that's perfectly okay. We have come through, again, this is a demo system. We've come through and made some matches based off of different information. So I'm going to go back up here to our Benny Sampleson. Here, there are multiple ways that we can view the data. We can click on the whole record view. The whole record view is going to view the record with all of its links and potential links. So if I click on this, what we get is our single best record with our MPI number. And then we have some other information here, which would allow us to link and non-link some of this information within. We'll go into that in a minute down the path. But what I want to do is go back. I can click the back button here, and that takes us back to the search page. Okay, we're going to look at Benny again. There are other ways we can view. I won't go into all of them, but we can view an audit log. So any action that has been taken on the patient within the PI system is tracked and it is linked to a username. We do not do any editing of patient information within this tool, but what we want to do in here is make sure that a patient is matched and is compiled with all of their potential records that exist throughout IHS. If a patient has been seen at Winslow, Chinley, and a GIMC, for example, we want to make sure that all of those local records can be found under one single best MPI record that we have in here. Okay. So this audit log will show whether there were automatic matching, automatic linking within this tool, or whether there was manual linking. Automatic linking means that it has met the threshold, and I'll show you that in a minute. It has met the threshold to become automatically merged with other patient records. Basically, your patient is going to have the same name, the same social security number, same birthday, different information such as that. Or you can do a manual match, so that's a potential duplicate that will be found on your work list, where an individual user comes in, takes a look at these records, the system says, hey, I think these records are the same people, but I'm just not sure. I need an expert to come in here and manually link or unlink these two records. Okay, so that's what that is saying. Anything that we do as users in the system will also be captured by this audit log. Okay, so if I just click on that, you'll see that two records came in January 14th. That's quite a while ago. It set up a pair for review, and we went in here and made some matches in here. Okay, so there's some information within there. What happened? When did it happen? When was the patient added to the system? Different things like that. Again, I'm going to go back to my patients here, okay? And then let's see, this other one here is just showing a history of demographic changes within this record. So say that Benny, he came in, he's from Chinley. We only had his record this whole time because he's only been seen at Chinley. Benny then has to go to PIMC, for example. He goes to PIMC, the registrars there create a new record for him. PIMC is part of the PI system, part of the 4DH. Benny's record will be brought in to the system, and it will be matched with, assuming all of his information is the same, it will be automatically matched with what we have here. And then show a history of demographic changes in this record. We might have a new phone number. We might have a new address that Benny is now using that will be marked in the history, okay? Not only that, but then you'll not only see the Chinley record, you'll see the PIMC record as well. Okay, so this is just allowing you to search through a variety of different ways for the patient that you may be looking for. Again, all of this information that I have in here that you're seeing on the screen, it's all demo information. Some of it may or may not make a lot of sense in the real world usage of the application for you, but obviously we can't share real data. Okay, so this is just searching. Variety of ways to do so. If I wanted to search for a different patient, we can do that. If we want to narrow down something neat that you'll narrow it down. Again, the more information that you enter, the narrower your search results will be. Okay, so that is the search. I'm going to again go back up to this HSPI management. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And one of the things I really want to show you, and I think that there's going to be a lot of usage, and this is going to be directly where people go, is right to this work list. Okay, so the work list is where you're going to get items that, or records, should I say, that need something to happen to them. Basically, we need you as an expert to come in here and make some determinations on these patient records. Okay, so there's a variety of things that you can do here. One is the categories. You have got to select one of these categories. Basically, what you see here, the first three are going to be the ones that are going to be the most highly utilized for us. I typically just go over here and select all, but you can narrow them down accordingly. So basically, the first category we're looking at here is review. This review is going to show potential duplicate pairs that fall below the automatic link threshold, but at a value when it's high enough to require a review by an expert. Okay. Validate is going to be where it falls above the or falls below the automatic link threshold. I'm sorry, falls above the automatic link threshold, but at a value low enough to again require an expert to come in and say yes. So the system is like, I'm pretty sure that these are matches. I'm as sure as I can possibly be before I automatically link them, but I'd like a second pair of eyes on them. Okay, so that's validate. And then duplicate. Duplicate's kind of a bit tricky in that previously at sites, we had local patient merging happening at the local sites. I know that is something that doesn't always happen. So we may have a patient that has been seen at Chinley, for example, and they used two different, or they came out to two separate records. So somebody might have entered a record in 2015. That patient hadn't come in for quite some time, so they came back in 2021. So there are two records at Chinley for the same patient. In that case, they may come into the patient index if they hadn't been caught previously on the local side. So those duplicates will come through. So you must select a category, or typically a lot of people select all. That's what I do. That's what I'm going to show. Compare data sources for pairs. This is where you go ahead and you select where you are at. This is going to narrow down the potential records that you and your team have to look at. So for example, I've been using Chinley a lot as an example. I could select Chinley. What this is saying is one record from the potential duplicates has got to come from Chinley. Okay. You can do a Chinley. I want to see one record that's from Chinley and the other record has to be from, I've been using GIMC, one record, the other record has to come from GIMC. So show me only records from Chinley and GIMC that have matched within the system, okay? You don't have to do this, and as a matter of fact, I'm not gonna do this right now, just so I can show you some of our test data. You can do time created, time ended, time updated, what have you. Link reasons, there's different link reasons in here. So a threshold, okay? You can do transitivity. So threshold is between a certain weight score, they match. The other one, manual. So you can go in here and somebody has manually matched two records and they're asking for you to come in and review them. That can be where somebody comes in to one clinic and their name is Joe Smith, and then they come in elsewhere and their name is Ben Sampleson. You suspect that maybe they're using an alias or whatever, you can manually match those and then ask somebody else to review them. So that's a potential in there. And rule. The one thing I want to mention about rules, we have rules that are built in. For example, marriage, utilizing a female patient's married name, different rules for twins, different things like that in here. So there are a couple of rules. We have minimum link weight scores, maximum. So there are a variety of ways that you can look at your work list. I am simply going to do it by categories, clicking all, and by link reasons all. Again, you can select what you want in here, but just to show you sort of a full listing of information without any real barriers of sites or anything like that, I'm just going to go up here and click refresh the work list. Okay. This work list is a full sampling of what we have in our demo database here. Just to show you a couple of things on this page. We have a variety of columns here, okay? It's a lot. There's a lot of information. What you can do for your own personal screen, this will only affect you. You can go up and click the columns button. And what that will do is allow you to just show the columns you want. You may not want the unique identifier. You may not want a data domain. Let's see, I'm just going to click off some things that, you know, I'll do addresses. I don't want phone number. Okay. So I can set this, I can apply it. And my screen here is going to reflect what I've selected to take a look at. Okay, so if something makes sense, you want to see it, somebody else doesn't, this is for your particular screen, your particular viewing purposes. Okay. The other thing I will show you are the colors. Colors are used in here to denote differences and similarities between two records, and I will show you that when I click on one of these records. But these are set to be able to denote individuals that may have color blindness. I typically leave mine alone, but if you like a bright fuchsia and you want to show your link status in bright fuchsia, then you go ahead and make those changes. You can update those as well. Okay, I'm just going to leave them just as they are. There are no changes to save because I didn't make any. That's what my little guy's telling me. I click out of here. Okay, so what are we seeing on our work list right here? What we're seeing is that what needs to happen? A review. The system needs an expert to come in and review these. What is the link status? We have a potential link between these two records out here. One is from our 2013 EHR site. I'm air quoting that. The other patient is from our demo site, demo database. So we have a potential link between these two records. The link reason is they've met the threshold. The threshold is this weight score, okay? So I will show you what makes up this weight score in a moment, but this weight score, the higher it is, the more likely they are to be matching, okay? So we're taking a look. We're just going to keep going. There are alternate views. If you remember, we talked about that earlier. So I want to take a look at the composite view of this record here. What this is showing is a comparison between the records. Anything in blue is a match. Let me show you another view of this that I'll do a whole, let's see, which do I want to do? I'll do this comparison detail. Okay, so just going across different things, records, we have MPI ID. In these blue is what matches. And when I click this composite detail, it's going to bring me up a side-by-side comparison of these two records. And again, remember how I said about the colors? What this is saying is anything highlighted in blue on the side, that's a match. Okay, if it didn't match for my setup that I have with my colors, it would be an orange. Okay, so I'm just showing you this. I'm not going to do anything on this record right here. I want to show you some oranges. But if you go down, you have the review threshold is at a 30. Here's where I was talking about validate threshold. So we have some of these thresholds. Our link weight here is 32. It just gives you some further information here. So I'm going to click out of this because I do want to show you something that's a little, may have a lower weight score with some color. Okay, I'm going to click on Jeremy Wright and Jeremy Bates down here. When I click on their comparison, you can see a lot more color. We have the blue because the genders matches, their birthdays match, but some of this other stuff such as their given name, their full name, family name is different right here. Bates versus Wright, they're both juniors, their middle names, so we have some orange here, okay? throughout. So what can we do when we get in here? What do we need to do? We've compared them. We're pretty sure this is the same people here. I'm going to go into this potential link again. I can go all the way across after I've compared. I can mark them as the same record, which will combine these two records into, again, that single best record. Or I can mark them as different. And what different that says is these two are not the same patient. We need to assign two separate MPI IDs. We need to create two separate records for these patients. So I'm going to go back into my comparison detail. And again, what you can do, you can mark them the same. You can mark them as different. You can also assign it. You just don't know, you're not sure. I'm going to pass this off to Dr. Ziegler or somebody else. I'm going to assign it to somebody so it shows up in their work list, okay? Or you can change the status. So there are different things you can do. You can also make a comment before you assign it to the user. In this case, I'm going to mark it as two different people. No, I'll mark it the same people. It's going to ask you, are you absolutely sure you want to apply same to records? Are you absolutely sure that you want to link these two patients? They are the same patient that has come in two separate records. We want to say yes. Okay. So going forward, when we search for sample patient 1, you'll see their information under one particular MPI ID, under one best record, okay? So we can go back, again, we're making some moves. We're gonna go back to our patient search. I believe we're gonna just put in sample and 1. I'm gonna click this, and here, when I go up, you can see that my 1 sample patient from my demo facility and my 1 sample patient from my 2013 EHR facility site, air quote, they are now listed as the single best record under 1 heading up here, okay? So this is a single best record. So as you can imagine, this is going to be really helpful downstream when you get into the clinical viewer, which there is a separate recording for that. When you get down there and when you get to PHR and when you get to direct, all of these patient records and where this patient has been seen will be under one single best record, single best MPI. You'll log in, you'll see all of their CCDA and health information downstream within the clinical viewer. Okay, this is sort of our first stop along the ride to get us the information down into the clinical viewer, where not only we can see the information within IHS, but potentially outside of IHS. Again, we piloted with the VA, but we could see state exchange information and so on and so forth. That is described in more detail in the clinical viewer training. Okay. So again, we can go back to our work list, and what will happen is our 1 sample patient will be taken off of our work list. But what I wanted to show here is that I can also select all, and I can also select Chinley. And I am just going to run, for the folks that are in the Chinley office, just any records that specifically pertain to my facility, to these patients that I am the expert of. I see these patients, I know these patients, I register these patients. I'm able to make the best determination out there for these particular patients. And you can see that in both of these cases, Chinley and Chinley has at least one record that we can match. It doesn't matter what the other facility is. I just want to know that I can see my Chinley records. Again, I think we have maybe some Winslow. We'll do a Shiprock. And the same thing, if I click on refresh the work list after selecting Shiprock, I can see these have come through. They have to have at least one Shiprock record in the match for me to view it. So that's how you can go to your particular work list for your site or facility. This will, when you click down the record, will be full of all of the sites and facilities that are participating, so you can choose from there. Right now it's a little limited. Again, we're in a demo system. All right, again, I'm going up to my navigation, the HSPI management. Click on that. The one thing that I did want to show you, you will probably not have access to this, but I did want to talk slightly about the thresholds. If I click on this, let me see, default weights. Okay, at any time, here are the thresholds. So what this is saying that is anything under 30 is not going to match within the system. I can force a comparison, but they're not going to match and they're not going to be a comparison on your work list. Anything between 30 and 33 is going to be what we call an auto link threshold, and that is where it will link. It will be called a potential link, and the system will want you to come in and make a determination on it. If it's between 33 and 38, what it will say is the system has made a determination, and we are very, very sure that these are complete matches, but please validate these two. So the one is a potential link, the other one is called a validate link. Okay, so go ahead and validate that. Anything 38 and above is an automatic link within the system. You don't have to do anything. If, for example, you think that in the case of twins again, something has matched, the system has matched twins, but you know for a fact that they are indeed twins, you can search for those patients using that search functionality that we saw at the beginning. And you can go in there and you can click different, and that will unmatch those two records and give them unique MPI ID identifiers within the tool. Okay, so anything that is done in here can be undone, whether it's an automatic match, whether your coworker went in and created a match, and it may end up that it is two separate people, you can do that as well. Okay, so anything in here can be undone. Again, just be mindful that there are auditing throughout. So if your coworker's like, oh my gosh, I matched two patients, but I think they are not matches, you can go back and look through that and find that information. Now I've talked a little bit about matching patients that the system might not have, in the case of aliases and whatnot that's not being picked up within, you can search within here and force a comparison. So I can force a comparison between, oh, it's going to take me here. If you know the number, it will take you right to there. So I'm going to click, oh, I'm going to click this and go. Okay, and it's going to say, please select the second value. I'm going to click search. And something completely unrelated, but I know that they're out here. I'm going to select this record, click go. I can force a comparison between these two records who have nothing to do with each other. Again, you may have a sneaking suspicion that they are indeed the same patient. So you can go in here and force this. And again, you can match as you may, or they're already marked as different. So you don't need to do anything in that case. But if they are indeed the same patient, you would click that. Okay, or you can assign it to somebody else to take a look at. So we do have that functionality in here as well. Okay. Not all of these options over here will be available to you, but because we're in a demo system, you might see more than what you have over here. A lot of these options are available right from the search screen or right from the work list, which is why I'm not going in. We did see the whole record. We saw some comparison details. We saw some composite view. So there is different things. There are different things in here that you can utilize at different points within the screens. Okay, so that is all that I have to share for today. Thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, please reach out to the 4DH team and we will get those answered for you.